Magda from Auckland, New Zealand, Madam President.
Thank you, Magda. And Pamelah Landers.
Pamelah Landers from Palm Springs, California, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. And Aaron. You introduce yourself.
Aaron from Hong Kong. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Aaron. And William.
Madam President, my name is William Thomas from Hollywood, Florida. Back to you, Madam President and Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, William. And Michelle.
Michelle Albalim, usually in Oregon, currently in the Philippines. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. Jim Adams.
Hi, I'm Jim Adams. I'm in Nicholasville, Kentucky, center of Kentucky. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Jim. Andrea.
I'm Andrea Sanger from Palm Springs, California. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. And Adrienne.
Hello, everybody. I'm Adrienne Williams. I'm out of Miami, Florida. Hello.
Awesome. And I'm your Toastmaster, also acting president for today. And my name is Dawn Nocera, and I'm in Columbus, Ohio. So there we go. And thank you all for being a part of this first Toastmasters meeting of the year, first Toastmasters meeting after our demo meeting. And I'm excited to start this new club and wanted to let you know, anyone who wants to join or participate, this is being recorded. You can go to ato.toastmost.org and get the information about joining the club and what are the requirements, which are you must be an advanced Toastmaster to be a part of our club. Have your competent communicator manual done, and we are about maverick leadership, making an impact, appreciating ourselves and others, and an abundant club. And we'll, as we go forward, we'll completely fill in the gaps of what that means. And you can watch the demo meeting as well to show a little video on that. So we are starting our meeting today, and as the Toastmaster of the day, I'd like to let you know that we have 3 parts of our meeting. We have the speaking portion of the meeting, followed by the table topics portion of the meeting, and then followed by the general evaluation portion of the meeting, where the general evaluator and the evaluators of the speeches will evaluate our speeches. And just to point out, this may be different than some of our previous meetings or your home meeting, because as was suggested, this gives us time to actually give a good and complete evaluation of the speakers if we separate it by the topics. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited to have a lot of leaders and great speaking today. And at this point, I'm going to introduce our roles for the meeting. And first off, I would like to introduce our counter and grammarian, Aaron Long. Could you tell us what your role is today?
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters from all around the world. My role as an art counter first is mainly to count the unnecessary transition along the way. Unnecessary transition means that if there's an additional word that doesn't really add an impact to the sentence itself, or doesn't even mean anything in the sentence, that is actually unnecessary transition. I'll be referring to everyone's unnecessary wordings or phrases along the way. My role as a grammarian as well is to use or count the good phrases used, and also mainly on the improper ones whereby I can correct it to the good ones. And finally, introducing the word of the day. So introducing the word of the day, I will be introducing the word impinge. So basically, it's similar to the meaning of impact, but impinge actually sounds much more cooler. But the pattern is that when you go for impinge, how do I use it? It's actually very simple. You can just go by and saying that to impinge upon the imagination or some social pressures that can impinge one's daily life. So try to use this more often, and if you use it, I'll try to do this. And then you'll get a nice bell ring to actually ring you up to keep on using this word. So I'll putting my word on the screen. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Aaron Long, and for that impinging introduction to what you'll be doing as a chat monitor, or not chat monitor, but grammarian and ah counter. Next, I'm going to introduce our timer, William. Can you share with us what you'll be doing?
Yes, Madam Toastmaster and Madam President, fellow Toastmasters from around the world. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. The job of the timer is to keep track of time during the different segments. At the different segments, I will give the timing requirements for that particular segment. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster, Madam President.
Thank you, William. And at this point, I'm going to ask everybody to, well, I'm going to mute everyone at one at a time so we can, oh, very interesting. I think that was you, Michelle Albalin. There was a buzzing that I was hearing. So I think that was coming from yours. So I'm going to keep you muted until it's ready. At this point, I'd like to introduce our first speaker. And our first speaker is Pamelah Landers. And Pamelah has been with Toastmasters for a long time, 20 years on and off. Is that correct, Pamelah? Did I mute you?
I'm muted.
Are you unmuted? Okay. And I'm scrambling to find your introduction. So let me pull this up real quick. So Pamelah is speaking today. Pamelah has been a Toastmaster since 1999, so that's almost 20 years. And she has implemented many creative solutions in various offices that she's held. Her artistic endeavors apply to Toastmasters as well as her work and her hobbies. So her speech title today is I Am an Artist. Please help me welcome Advanced Toastmasters Gold and competent leader Pamelah Landers, speaking with her title, I Am an Artist.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. I am an artist. I didn't know this for a long time. I considered myself creative. I was willing to own that I had a lot of creative hobbies, but owning the word artist was a journey. I remember sitting in singing group when I was taking voice lessons last decade, and our teacher said, everyone in here is an artist. And I could feel my whole body just like, oh yes, that's true. That is true. I am an artist. And soon after that, I wrote a whole book about being an artist. I'm a hand analyst, and I wrote a book from a hand analysis perspective about being an artist. So I've taken ownership of the art, which has been life-changing because I don't have to apologize for the amount of time and energy that I spend being creative. I'm an artist. It's my job to be creative. I also find that if I'm not doing something artistic, if I don't have some project going on all the time, it feels like something's missing. There's a sense of soul satisfaction that doesn't happen unless I'm engaged in some artistic endeavor. This is one of the things I've learned about the artist part of me, that I also need to have multiple artistic expressions. Because if I don't, what's going to happen if I have some free time from work and I don't have an art project to work on? So I have like 6 things that I do. I crochet, I paint, I sing. I've written multiple books for hand analysis. I do photography. And in the past, I did a lot of sewing. I don't have a sewing machine set up right now. Used to make my own clothes. I was looking at some pictures of me recently and saw, oh, I made that dress. I made that dress. I made that dress. feeling very proud of myself for having been able to do that, having the skill set. I wanted to share with you a few of the things that are physically able to show you online that I do. With my photography, I create cards that I send to my clients and family members. Mostly I take pictures of landscape-related things, flowers, mountains, oceans. That's one of the things that I do. My clients love getting handmade cards. I also make cards that have 1 or 2 words on them. This says rock star. I made this because Don actually told me I am a rock star, and so I made this for myself and have it hanging on my wall in front of my desk. In my field, I am a rock star. Feels very good to have permission to own this. I also make cards like this for my students and my friends. Don has a couple of them. For Christmas, made Christmas balls. This is an empty, it's glass. It was empty. It has 2 kinds of paint in it, so the paint goes inside. And each one is unique because you can't do 2 the same. I have them in red and white, red and silver, gold and white, lots of colors, purple and white, purple and silver. I also paint and do things on canvas. This is a heart portal art project that I did. It has rhinestones and pearls. In the middle is a rose that I took a picture of and cut it out so that I could then put fabric paint around it and make it more centered, and so you can see it has lots of different colors. I made about 25 of these in different colors. Some of them are hanging in my house and some of them are getting ready to be sent to people. Another thing I've done recently is decorate a fabric bag. This has all my Toastmasters things in it for my local Toastmasters group. I cut things out of fabric. So I have been having a lot of fun putting this on together with fabric paint. Thank God for fabric paint, because so much of my project I use fabric paint for. And behind me you can see a mandala hanging on, a couple mandalas hanging on the wall. I've painted a number of mandalas. So I'm owning my artist. I'm having a lot of fun being an artist, and it is impactful for other people. One of the things I do know is that the way that I create art creates an impact for other people. Not only do my clients love getting the cards that I make, my friends and family love getting the cards that I make. I also share that kind of art, the fabric paint art that I do. And I've given a number of these Christmas balls to other people as well, nieces and nephews, for their first Christmases after they got married. It's very satisfying to have this skill set. It feels super important for me in my life to own my artist without apology or without diminishment. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Pamelah. And I am back here. So, yay, thank you. And next on our agenda for speaking is Magda. Magda is in Auckland, New Zealand. And I'm also on the side here searching. Her title today is Making an Impact. And this is a story that has a touch of her life, just a touch of her life to help us understand and get to know her. So with that, help me welcome Magda, and with her speech titled Making an Impact. And please help me welcome Magda.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Please get a pen and paper handy. I want you to write down numbers 1 to 5. my speech is all about persuasion, and I'm going to just touch on a couple of subjects. The first one is to look at the need that I want to address, to define solutions, to mitigate objections, to visualize the change. In Toastmaster clubs in general, and especially on online clubs, there's always a need for new members. Online clubs, I see the same faces often over and over again. And I'm just wondering, it could be like, it could be like a pyramid scheme. That's not the issue. The real issue is that we are stretching ourselves so thin. We think we're okay, we do lots of things, but are we really giving the quality that is needed and expected of us? I want to tell you the story of Matai, of Whangari Matai, and the story of the hummingbird. The story of the hummingbird really touched my life. Whangari Matai is a lady from Africa, from Kenya, and she received the Nobel Peace Prize in 2004. Her country was almost depleted of any forests. And the fact of the matter is that poverty was rife. In Africa, people need to cook their food. If there's no firewood, they can't eat. Many women, more than 45% of women over the age of 30 are raising kids alone. So Whangari thought, what can I do to change this dire need for women to earn money? She went from village to village telling them a story of the hummingbird. And I'm going to share that story with you because of the impact it had in my life. One day in the forest, there was a big forest fire. And all the animals were standing there not knowing what to do. They looked at one another and they thought, no, this is too big for us. But the hummingbird was different. The hummingbird went to a pond, scooped up a couple of drops of water and put it on the fire. Back and forth, back and forth. The other animals laughed. The hyena said, you're too insignificant to do anything. The elephant said, you're too tiny. Nothing that you can do is going to make any change. Every animal standing about had something to say about this little hummingbird. And she was fluttering around them and she said, I may be small, but I can make a plan. I will do the best I can. Whangari took this story from village to village, and eventually the woman planted 30 million trees. When she got the Nobel Peace Prize and she did a speech, she said the following: there's a time in humanity when there should be a shift in consciousness to reach a higher moral ground, to shift and shed fear and to give hope. And that time is now. If we look about morals, if we think about morals, Toastmasters already made a wonderful plan. And the Toastmaster values of respect, integrity, service, and excellence is all about us finding our place and doing the absolute best, the excellence that is needed to proceed. Neuroscience also found that human need is not what Maslow in his pyramid is explaining. It's all about feeling emotionally safe, to try new things or old things in a new way, to feel that you as a person, as a member belong, and that your opinions matter. I know some people are going to say, yes, but we can't do all of that. We just press to get numbers. Or they would say, oh, the stuff of neuroscience is all a bit airy-fairy. And what about the story of the hummingbird? I mean, it's so silly, a hummingbird dropping a couple of drops of water in a fire. But you need to understand what's behind the story. Once the other animals saw what the hummingbird was doing, they all got together, and the elephant with its big trunk got lots of water, and every animal tried to do something to extinguish this fire, and they worked together. So the impact of the hummingbird is not so much the hummingbird with the 3 drops of water at a time, but the fact that the hummingbird is not sitting and waiting and is actually doing something, going out there, doing things, and doing the best that she can. So what can we do? I've got 5 points that we can do. First of all, invite someone in your area that's living close to you for a cup of coffee. Even if you don't have an online buddy, a bricks and mortar buddy, Toastmasters buddy will be very nice. Tell them what's happening in the online clubs. Tell them about this new advanced club. In that coffee appointment, share 2 points van Gary Matai's story and the story of the hummingbird. Then ask Dawn for the privilege to do 2 roles in her new club, and then ask for a speaking opportunity. Diarize this meeting at least 4 times in the future. That is giving you 5 visits. Together we can decide to make an impact. If you meet up with 5 other people, and your partner that you invited the first time is also speaking to 5 people, you're speaking to 10 people you've got impact to 10 people. Mention the club. Just consider what impact you can make in 5 simple steps. Don't wait. Ask Dawn today what you can do to make an impact. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Magda. That was wonderful. And at this time, I'd like to turn the meeting over to our table topics master, Adrienne. And if the timer can let us know if our speeches were all on time before I do that, that would be wonderful.
Madam Toastmaster and President, our 2 speakers definitely were on time.
They were all
Back
on
to you,
time?
Madam President.
Okay, great. Thank you. And at this time, Adrienne, I'm going to pass that mic back to you, and it's all yours. So thank you very much, Adrienne.
Awesome. Please don't forget to mute yourself when you're not speaking. Today, I will be handling the table topics section of the meeting. Table topics, what is that you're thinking? It is a short speech. So short that it's within 2 to 3 minutes. Timer, could you please give us the time for the table topic speeches and show us the colors so that everyone will know?
Yes, Madam Table Topics Master. The times for table topics is 1 minute, green. 1 minute, 30 seconds, yellow. And 2 minutes, red, with a 30-second deviation. If you go beyond that, I will start to clap you off, Madam Table Topics Master.
Okay, our first question is going to go to Andrea. Andrea, if you could, please tell us your most embarrassing moment, and I would like for you to incorporate this fork in your story.
All right.
Please tell us your most embarrassing experience, and please incorporate the fork in the story.
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master. My most embarrassing moment was at my high school graduation. It was held at the Seattle Center Coliseum, which held 10,000 people. There was probably 8,000 people at my graduation. I walked to the front, feeling very confident. I'd finished school. I was an honor student. I walked to the front. We had to walk up 8 stairs, walk across the front of the room with everybody watching us, shaking hands, feeling very confident. I was wearing a nice bright yellow gown and cap, I turned and I looked out at the crowd feeling very proud of myself. And I made the first step back down the stairs right in the center of the room. And there must have been a fork on that stair because my ankle turned under and I went flying down those stairs and with this nice yellow gown flying out behind me. So I'm pretty sure I looked like Superwoman there, flying down those stairs. I got all the way to the bottom and I thought, now what am I gonna do? So I jumped up, I raised my hands in the air like I was Rocky Balboa, and I won the fight, and I very cautiously started to try to walk. I had torn up my pantyhose and my legs and everything else, and a little man came out and asked me if I was okay, and I said, oh yes, I'm fine. I did end up in the hospital after that because that fork was very dangerous. Thank you, Madam Tables Topics Master.
Wow, that was awesome. I will never look at a fork the same way again. Jim, everyone has gotten a gift they absolutely hate. Please tell us about the worst gift you got and how you used this mallet in your experience.
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master. The weirdest gift I ever got, which is kind of timely since it's just approaching the end of the holiday season and we're all back to work, was around Christmas time, and it spread from probably my 20s through my 50s. It was a recurring theme. When people would not know what to give me, they would give me ties. They would give me all sorts of different ties that they might have bought that I could return. My father, I think, did the best at this, which was still unfortunate because I'm not really into ties, but he introduced me to his closet and I was able to choose as many ties as I wanted out of his closet. Unfortunately, since I was not that enthusiastic about ties, I did take many, but now they reside in my closet and don't really see much of the light of day. If I had my way, I would find uses for those ties other than to wear them, because I really don't like to put on the office attire unless I have to, if I'm at an interview or some kind of a presentation. So maybe one of the ways that I could possibly do that might be through the arts and crafts, very similar to what Pamelah shared with us. Maybe I could take these decorative ties and wrap them around the handle of a mallet and sell them maybe at some kind of a fair and show them all the different types of colorful handles that you can use, and through that effect maybe have a better grip or a softer feel, and maybe thin out the quantity of ties that I have in my closet. Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you. We lost William. Michelle, can you act as timer? Please.
Absolutely. I
Thank
always
you.
have them.
Absolutely. Thank you. I know that about you. And I am going to randomly call this person. Tell us about something funny that happened to you, and you will incorporate this little bottle of lotion. Cedric.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Tabletop Master. Well, I didn't think that I would be speaking this morning. I thought I would just be observing, but there's a lot of things that have happened funny to me in my life with lotion. I can start off by saying, as a kid, I learned to swim at a very young age. And I thought that lotion was something that I was supposed to have on all the time, no matter what I was doing. And I made a mistake and actually put on too much suntan lotion while I was trying to swim. And my father told me, he said, look, that's going to be a problem for you. You're going to have a problem with what I'm asking you to do. It's going to run into your eyes. I said, well, Dad, you told me I needed to put on suntan lotion. He said, no, I said you need to put on lotion, not suntan lotion. I said, okay, no problem. So we went on from that. I played a lot of different sports during my young adult age. And the lotion and the suntan lotion confusion actually carried over into everything I did. It went from swimming to baseball. Baseball, I thought, once again, I'm out in the elements. I'm supposed to have on this lotion, suntan lotion. I didn't know the difference between the two. The bat continued to slip out my hand. I couldn't throw the ball. I was just having all types of problems. Carried on over into football. Once again, couldn't hold the ball. I just thought that I was someone that couldn't play sports. So I came home. I cried to my mother. My mother said, look, that lotion is not something that you should continue to wear. So I decided, with that being said, I complained to my dad. Dad, I don't want to continue wearing the lotion. He said, okay, no problem. All that to say this, lotion, suntan lotion, make sure you figure out which one it is before you start wearing it. Make sure you determine when, where, how to wear it. Because at the end of the day, as great as lotion can make you feel, it's not something that you want to wear at the wrong time, for the wrong reason, for the wrong sport. And with that being said, Madam Toastmaster, I will end my presentation.
Thank you. And we have one last one. Martin, please tell us about a time you got lost and incorporate this banana into your story. Martin.
Okay. Hello, fellow Toastmasters. Good afternoon. The time that I got lost would have been, yes, I was going to Atlanta from Florida for a meeting, and I had been there before, but it was nighttime this time, and the first time was during the day. I left Hartsfield-Jackson Airport and headed up Route 75 and 85 and continued aggressively up there on time for my meeting, but I forgot to get off at 400, which took me up to Alpharetta where the meeting was. And I kept going and realized I am almost in South Carolina. I better turn around. So I turned around, I got off the road, and I stopped and I asked for directions. Finally, I found out that I was really close to where I was going in the first place, and got to the right place and was about 5 minutes late for the meeting, but I got there safely. And that is my getting lost story. As far as the banana, I can't see the banana, but I do love bananas. I eat them on an almost daily basis. Love the potassium. And so back to you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you. Thank you for pointing that out, that you can't see the banana. So I will make sure that I state it.
Okay.
On a mobile device, it is a little bit different. So thank you for that.
Okay.
And I'm told we have one last question. Everyone's had some type of experience with someone giving you a blessing, is what I call it. Please tell us about a random act of kindness that someone did for you. And please incorporate honey into your story. Michelle.
Thank you very much. That is so interesting because I seem to have this attraction, affinity, or maybe random acts of kindness just impinge upon me in a positive way. And I love honey. There was one person in our community who actually I felt was a little bit standoffish. I felt the person was not as friendly as the other people in our small community. And then there was this one, I think it was not Thanksgiving. It was another, we have this community get-togethers. So I was in it's literally called the multi-community service center or something like that. So we were there and I had this tap on the shoulder, and this person was holding this humongous jar of honey. If anybody here goes to Costco, and I know that's very American, so some do not, but Costco sells everything in this humongous containers. So it's like much taller than this and rounder. And so I get this tap on the shoulder, and this person says, I went to Costco and I got this jug of honey, but it turns out that my wife also got a jug of honey. And while we can go back to Costco and return it, it didn't seem right to return just that. And so he said, would you like this? And I looked at the honey and I'm like, yes, I would. And so after that, we always had this little story, a private story about, we don't do a spoonful of sugar, we do a jug of honey. And other people had to be brought into the story, but it somehow just warmed us up. And after that, we always felt like we had a secret that we shared. And so that changed, that random act of kindness just changed things for me. Back to you, Adrienne.
That was amazing. Thank you everyone for your participation. The reason I incorporated the object is so that we can learn as Toastmasters. Every time you speak somewhere, there's always something that's different. Either something's not working and you will have to learn how to improvise and handle the situation. So you all did a very good job of incorporating that, and you can evaluate yourself on what you feel like you could have done to really bring an impact to your audience. Because every time you speak, it's showtime. We are your audience, and you have to engage us because we may be the person referring you for your next speech. So back to you, Mrs. Toastmaster Dawn. Thank you.
Thank you, Adrienne. And I'm just having such a good time here. This is such a great meeting. And the next portion of our meeting is the evaluation portion of our meeting, and that is going to be led by Jim Adams. So at this point, I'm going to ask Jim to get on open up his mic and bring in the third part of our meeting, which is the evaluation portion.
Great. Well, thank you very much. All right. So I would like to ask you one at a time after I've finished my very brief introduction, if you could help me out. And I don't know the names of the particular evaluators. I don't have that on the screen. So in just one moment, I'll be asking for that. One thing that we do in our club, which I find very useful, and if the timer would not mind facilitating this, is to make sure that I also don't talk too long. And we try to keep our meetings to about an hour as well. So we like to, when it comes to the point of the general evaluation portion after the individual evaluators, if you could time me as well with a standard evaluation time of around 3 minutes, that would be great. That would be a good cue for me to stop talking as well.
Absolutely, because I will be doing it anyway, even if you didn't ask me.
Yes.
Good. So what I like to do is we do in our club is first introduce the individual evaluators for the individual speeches. And I guess the first one that we would want to hear from is the evaluator that is going to be covering Andrea's, or not Andrea's, but Pamelah's speech. And who is that today?
That's me.
All right. So if you guys and gals would please help me introduce Michelle as she evaluates Pamelah.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jim. The legacy or the non-pathways icebreaker, we all know it. We've all done it because we're advanced Toastmasters. But just to refresh the memory, because with pathways now we might be forgetting that, let me just very quickly read through the objectives for the legacy icebreaker are twofold: to begin speaking before an audience and to discover speaking skills you already have and skills that need some attention. And there's a list of 6 to 7 questions, things like what were the strong points, how well did the audience get to know the speaker, and all that. That obviously, because we have a very experienced Toastmaster, all of those points would be answered in affirmative. What I'd like to do with the remainder of my time is to focus on a few points that I found really impacted my listening and my enjoyment of the icebreaker, and also those that just one or two that tended to impinge in a not very positive way, but very minor. So as far as the very positive impact, first of all, I love the title and the way that it was stated. Very affirmative. I am an artist. There was no but, or there was no equivocation about that. And Pamelah, you started with that statement, and then you followed right in by giving examples. I loved your examples, the cards, the Christmas balls, the painting especially, and then the decorating the bags. I loved all those, and I loved the way that you held them up. This is an icebreaker speech, so you don't really need to have visuals, but that speech could very, very easily have been using visual aids or props, which comes later on in the Competent Communicator Manual. I also like the way that you ended. You wrapped everything back in a nice package, and as you were ending, you said, I owning my being an artist. And then, of course, you threw in my favorite, having a lot of fun. And your final line, I really like that, without apology or diminishment. I love that. So as I said, I just have one little very minor area that kind of impinged on me. It kind of actually, and I'm doing exactly the same thing. I guess I was influenced by it. You were using grammar and language so well. And then at a certain point you said, I have like 6 things. I was thinking that was jarring, because it sounded like not somebody of your caliber. The like, that was so minor. And other than that, everything else was really tip-top shape. I loved your icebreaker, and I loved it was almost an inspirational speech for me. So I would love to hear other speeches to come. And I guess that's my evaluation. Not a very good one, but anyway, back to you, Mr. General
All right.
Evaluator.
Thank you so much, Michelle. I appreciate it very much. Good job. So our second speaker today, and it's great to be here with everybody. And I've got to, I guess, get familiar with the fact that we're in all sorts of different places. And the lady that spoke next, who I'm just meeting today, Magda from New Zealand, shared with us her thoughts. And who's our evaluator for Magda? Oh, Dawn. All right. So Dawn, let's go ahead and give Dawn a warm welcome as she evaluates Magda's speech.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. And it is such a pleasure to evaluate Magda. And Magda, just for everyone else here, this speech is from Pathways, and the presentation, I guess, manual is Presentation Mastery, Increasing Knowledge, and the project was Persuasive Speaking. So the goal is persuasive speaking. And I really was happy on so many different levels hearing this speech, Magda. You tied in promoting this club, which made me personally thrilled. So if you wanted brownie points for me, you got them in spades. And with not just creating something that is just knowledge that you're passing on, you actually went in and gave some very valuable and impactful tips on how people can promote this club and make an impact. And you connected it to the story of, and I couldn't, this was one of my points for progress, I guess, points for progress within your speeches. I wanted to hear you enunciate this woman's name. I wanted to hear her name so clearly that I would never forget, but I couldn't grasp it. It was so hard for me to hear what you were saying with her name, and I wanted to remember her name forever. And so for me personally, I think you could even type her name in the chat, which would satisfy my need to know what her name is. But that was one of the pieces, one of the spaces I think that you could have just fueled me even more. But you connected to the story about the hummingbird. You connected it to your life, which I thought was beautiful, that this story impacted you. I wanted to know a little bit more of like, how did that impact you? I wanted to hear the answer to what about the story impacted you, and where were you a hummingbird? I hear you humming, and I hear your drops of water. I know that you're doing that within Toastmasters, but I kind of wanted to hear you say it. And I have so many notes. I was happy again to evaluate you. I'm not sure what my time is.
You're at 2:30 right now, Madam.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you. And one of the things for me, Magda, that I was, again, really happy with is that you talked about not just the one hummingbird being the one who was making the impact, but that the hummingbird was making an impact by creating change within the actions of everybody else. So the elephant was impacted by the hummingbird, and all the animals of the forest were impacted by the hummingbird. And it gives us value in those little tiny things. Like our tiny efforts can make a big difference. I loved learning about this woman, the story of the hummingbirds and the trees. And I look forward to hearing more speeches from you, because you are an excellent speaker and have great organizational skills. So thank you very much, Magda. And back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
All right, thank you so much, Dawn. Very, very good. All right, so in our club in Nicholasville or in Lexington, Kentucky, we do the general evaluator, and then we follow up with the timers report, and then at the very end, we do the counter-grammarian report. Is that acceptable to everybody? All right. So first off, let me go ahead and I've separated my general evaluation of the meeting into a couple of different parts, and I've included one that I think we can all appreciate, which is a technical aspect as well. And if I go over, I will definitely cut it short. We'll share that electronically. The main thing that I want to mention is I thought that the beginning of this entire meeting went off quite without a hitch. Even the fact that I was not prepared to let Dawn know that I would fill a role until the last minute. We all have seen that in our clubs. I think that by the time that 5 minutes rolled around, we had all the roles filled, and I thought it was well managed. So kudos to the Toastmaster and the organizer of this meeting. And I hope that is going to be something that we see moving forward. As far as the table topics go, what a neat, I really did like your table topics approach. That is one of the neatest things about Toastmasters, is the creativity that we can inject into it, and to be able to show, you know, a certain object and to incorporate that into a different theme. That was a challenge. It's challenging for me. I'm not used to that. I use a technique that we share in the club called a hard R technique, where you can use it. It's an acronym for either answer it humorously, avoid, refer to somebody else, answer it directly, or reverse it. And these put everybody on their toes, because even though you might accidentally point at someone before you start your question, which is a no-no, you can always refer it, if you want to somebody else to answer, which keeps everybody kind of at the ready. So I appreciated your themes, and everyone that responded, including myself. Good job. I think the one that I liked the most, let's see, the use of the word impinge was used a couple of times. And I know that we can't interject a lot of times, but I do use the finger snapping thing in our club. That way everybody that hears the word impinge, regardless if somebody misses it on the bell, we at least, and then maybe here we can do it visually, you can appreciate that it's being used, even if we only have one bell or it doesn't get mixed, or perhaps it's used in the middle of a speech where you might not want to interrupt somebody. So that being said, we had 4 speakers, which was great. I guess we figured out that we had the time to do that. The only thing that I think that was a very good point that was brought up was the fact that the banana was missing as far as the visual cue for our speaker number 4, which was fine. But it is something that we need to work on, which is the use of our different devices and anticipating those kinds of things. So you did say banana. I think we had that covered, but it is something to be aware of. Also, I think you started out your introduction and your conclusion of table topics was a great bookended. Here's what's important. Here's why we do it. And I thought it was a very professional session for our meeting. Evaluation-wise, I would like to say that Michelle Alba did her improvements, but towards the end of her evaluation. And I know there's quite a variety of ways to approach this. So Michelle, I would only suggest that you end with more of the positive at the end when you're sharing this. I don't know if we're all professionals here, but perhaps it is something still worth using formulaically, that we emphasize things and we put the meat of our evaluation kind of in between, like the sandwich technique that we've all learned growing up. And then we end with something positive. So that would be my only suggestion for you. And Dawn, I really liked your empathy and your metaphor and your descriptions on yours. But the one thing I didn't like was always ending on, I look forward to hearing your next speech. Personally, we all use it. I'm sure I'm going to say it and stumble across and say that too. But it is one of those cliches in Toastmasters that we need to be creative in saying in a different fashion. That's my only suggestion there.
Awesome.
And then finally, do I have any time to talk about the technical stuff, or have I hit my time? No. Okay. So that being said, could I have the counter grammarian or the full-timers report, please? Thank you, Michelle.
Yes, Mr. General Evaluator. For our table topics, all our speakers qualified. Only one evaluator qualified, which was our first speaker. She had 3 minutes. Michelle went over by 4 minutes. And
I'm
our
sorry.
general evaluator, you went over by 10 minutes. So you had 340.
I'm sorry.
That's my timing report. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Okay. There seems to be but
You must be using metric.
I think so.
because my time is different. But anyway.
I use it from the actual website that gives you a stopwatch, Michelle.
Thank you. I appreciate that so much. Counter grammarian, would you share with us your thoughts today?
Thank you very much. So let me see. For accounting report, first of all, I just said so that's one. And the part whereby Dawn spake 1 N and 2 Rs. Most of the speakers are actually less than 5, and there are some people with absolutely 0 R's and Ms. Let me see who else. Magda actually has 1. Jim actually has 1. And that's all for the counter report, because the other ones that I didn't catch equals to 0 R's and Ms. So give a round of applause for that, please.
All right, great, thanks.
For the grammarian. Keep it short.
And I think that we did a great job using the word impinge. I didn't get a chance to use it, but we did use it, and that's fantastic. So congratulations to everyone that managed to fit that into their discussions or talks or presentations today. I believe that's all for me, and so I'd like to take this opportunity to turn the control back over to our Toastmaster, which is Dawn. So welcome back, Dawn.
Thank you, everyone, for making this a great meeting today. And I would like to ask our guests, Cedric, you are new to us and new to this group. Would you give us your feedback and maybe a little bit about yourself? Let us know it looks like you came from Miami, but I'd love to hear more about what you enjoyed or thought about the club.
Well, I enjoyed a lot about the club. I was actually impressed. This is the second time that I have had the opportunity to witness or view our online club with Toastmasters. I enjoyed the structure, and I'm looking forward to participating more. My background is real estate and finance. I run a digital marketing company out of Miami. And right now I'm actually in Arkansas. Obviously I get to travel with what I do because it's virtual. And that's one of the things that I wanted to make sure I was part of when it came to Toastmasters. Because I travel so much and I'm involved in so many different areas, I wanted to get involved with Toastmasters so I could actually be critiqued on a professional level and to increase my speaking ability. So I'm here for the long run. I'm just suffering from vertigo right now, so everything is like dizzy. I didn't know I was going to have to speak this morning. So forgive me, my whole world is spinning. I see two faces now. I see two of you, but I'm here.
Awesome. Well, we are glad that you are here. And I think right before you joined, I gave the URL for the website that you can go and look at more about joining, which is ato.toastmost.org. And that's our official Toastmasters website where you can sign up for roles and you can become a member if you'd like. And that's for everybody. Would anyone else like to, because we have like 9 more minutes left, I'd love to hear maybe some feedback. Can I get some feedback from our club sponsor? Andrea, would you like to offer some words of wisdom or some feedback in general?
Actually, I'm the club mentor, not the club sponsor.
Got it. Okay. I get those confused every single time. Sorry.
I appreciated everything that you all did. The meeting flowed very well. There are a couple of things that might make it a little bit more fun, and using the Zoom chat for giving quick feedback, putting in some time to give some feedback to the speakers so that everybody has a chance to give feedback to the speakers. Maybe voting on the best table topic, and who did that and why they did it, why you appreciated what they did, are 2 possibilities for the future. I enjoyed that everybody came at this from a different perspective and from different places around the world, and I'm excited to see what we do into the future. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks. So now that we have got it straight that you are club sponsor, I will club mentor. I will ask our club sponsor to pop in and give us her feedback. Pamelah.
Okay, yes, I'm the club sponsor. You'll figure it out someday, Dawn.
I know. To tattoo it on your forehead.
So I also thought it was a really good meeting. I love the creativity of the table topics. I love that all the roles fulfilled before the meeting began. And of course, as we move forward, there'll be more opportunity to have that organized ahead of time. This was our first meeting. We made it all happen. It was great. One thing I do want to suggest is my experience, evaluations, the purpose of evaluations is to talk about the delivery of the speech, not the content. So not commenting on the content of the speech unless it's relevant to the delivery process. The purpose of evaluations is to talk about the delivery. How was the speech delivered? So I just would like to clarify that because I think that's an important distinction in providing evaluations for the group. It was well done. Everybody did their roles well, and I appreciated that people stepped up and took responsibility. And when William suddenly had to leave, I'm sure technology got in the way, that somebody was able to step in with timing right away. Michelle being prepared with her colored sticks. It's just fabulous. So well done, everybody.
There I am. Awesome. Yay. So I'm actually going to open up the screen share to do some signing up for roles for next week while we're here. And hopefully we can get some people that will say, yay, I want to fill in a role. Do I have a volunteer for being Toastmasters next week, next Wednesday? Anyone? Bueller?
I can be Toastmaster next week.
Thanks, Pamelah. And as we get your names in and as you become a member, your name will be on the drop-down list. It'll be easy, really easy